Hi guys, good morning. This is Dan. Welcome to Engelgeist. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. For those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very much for your subscriptions. This is the Tarotscope for the sign of Aquarius for the month of July. Sorry, I was trying to get to the rest of the air signs yesterday and my day got away from me. Some other things came up. So we're up early and we're doing Aquarius and then Gemini, and then we will be completed with all signs. So if you're looking for your particular sign, know that the majority of them are done and up on the YouTube channel. This is a broad spectrum reading for the sign of Aquarius. So if you have a sun, moon, or rising in the sign of Aquarius, or if you have heavily placed planets in the sign of Aquarius, which would be like 3 or more, you may want to check out this reading and see what type of a month you could be having in July. If this resonates for you, great, utilize it. If it doesn't make any sense, or it doesn't seem to fit with whatever you're looking at, dealing with, feeling in your life right now, that's okay. It doesn't mean anything's wrong or broken, or you're not doing anything wrong. It just might mean that, you know, what houses that your planets are in could be affecting the reading, or you could be on a different trajectory due to that. It could be the degrees with which you are in Libra. Why am I in Libra? Was the last time I did in Aquarius. Also, that could be affecting this. So, you know, kind of take what you need and leave the rest. Have some flexibility around the reading. Understand that, you know, you might experience this very intensely or also subtly. So it really is what it is. If it makes sense and it resonates with you, great. Please take it. It's here to assist you and help you and give you insight and help you to make potentially better and more informed decisions. If you like the channel, please hit the thumbs up button on the video. Consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell. Also lets you know when I go live or when new videos are launched. I do have a daily forecast that's for all signs. It's just a general collective energy reading that happens every day. And you can always join us for that every morning. In there in the drop-down menu on the dailies is all of my contact information if you want a private reading. All of that is through the Linktree link that's included in there. And there's some things I want you to think about if you are going to watch my videos regularly and use them in your life. Stuff that I want you to understand. So please check that drop-down menu out in one of the daily videos. And let's get into Aquarius. Thank you for being patient, guys. Let's see what we've got going on here. This first card is what I call the signifier, or like the guide card for the month. It's from the Oracle of Mystical Moments. It's a bit sort of like the, you know, the guide in the sense that it might be something, a theme that we are dealing with this month, or something we need to focus on, something we need to give attention to, something we need to be aware of that we might be experiencing, an overarching, you know, idea of what July is going to look like for the Aquarians. So let's see what it is. Okay, we've got 33, which is a master number, so I will take that. And it's weaving flowers. I will say this, the first thing that I get from this, and I'm not sure of the traditional book meaning of this, but the first thing that I get from this is secrecy. It's something about her eyes being obscured behind the hat. It feels like a little bit of fun to me. I think that the Aquarians will enjoy this energy. The 33 to me feels very much in like sort of that idea of mastery, being in control, enjoying oneself. I like all of these sort of strings that are attached to her in a way that it feels like we're connected to the world around us. We also see the beauty of the flowers around her. She's enjoying this beauty, but there's something about her that is kind of being obscured. And what I mean by this is Aquarius might be holding their cards close to their chest this month, not necessarily for anything to be worried about, more almost like I get a playful sense from her. We might be, I don't know, like I almost feel like she's teasing me a bit, if that makes any sense at all. I feel like she's she's present, she's aware, we're connected, we're paying attention, but there's some sort of secret we might have, or some sort of awareness we might keep that we're not quite sure we want to share just yet. There's also a flirtatious energy to her too. So if some of my Aquarians are feeling a little bit horny, or oh, it's early to be starting with horny. If some of my Aquarians are feeling a bit horny or romantic, don't be surprised. I kind of get that vibe too a little bit. It might be that sort of reddish purple color in her hat and her skirt. She's giving me a little bit of that vibe of passion. And I do love that she's surrounded by those white flowers, which to me, that says that we are seeing the beauty in life. We're enjoying what's going on around us. And we're feeling maybe ideally a little bit playful. The idea of weaving too also gives you this idea of, you know, moving in and out of maybe social situations. And that sort of gives a lightness to this card, or a fun aspect to this card, right? You might be, I don't know, playing, I don't want to say games, but it gives me that vibe. Like, maybe you're not going to be taking things too seriously this month, Aquarius. Maybe things aren't going to be all end all for you. That might be the 33 mastery here, is it's sort of like we get to kind of vibe above the day-to-day drama, or others and their day-to-day drama, right? We're not necessarily, we're around it, we're aware of it, we're sort of present, but we're not necessarily involved in it. Does that make sense? We might be sitting back and having a good chuckle as we watch people kind of get caught up in their own stuff. To me, there is this, actually, now that I think about it, as I'm looking at this, there's a little bit of an aloofness to her that very much kind of keys into the air signs. So I kind of like that for you. I don't feel like it's a bad thing, right? To not, how do I want to say this? I don't want to say you're not getting involved, but to not get involved in other people's sort of stuff. Does that make sense? I feel like maybe there's a graduation here, or an opportunity, an evolution that's taking place, where you're able to not take things quite so seriously, to enjoy what's going on around you and not get dragged down into others' stuff. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. We will see what's going on in the cards and see how they are, what they are saying. And I may come back and revisit this. Okay, so the first card is where you're centered at. It's where you're going to kind of be the majority of the month. You may go in and out of this card throughout the month. It's not necessarily set in stone, but it gives me indication as to not only where you're at, but what you could potentially be creating for the future. So let's see where that's at. Okay, Knight of Wands. So this is your complementary suit of fire, first off. So I'm not, you know, I ain't angry at this card, as they say. This is a little bit, to me, especially with this particular card in this deck with the Knight of Wands, that fox pouncing like that has that playful nature that I'm talking about, that I feel like in that Weaving Flowers card. It feels like there is an optimism, right? Because it's that sort of fiery nature of Wands energy. There's that can-do attitude. There is a bit of passion here, like I said, that I felt, you know, if my Aquarians are turned on or feeling a little bit desirous of maybe some physical contact or connection in a romantic or passionate sort of way, the Knight of Wands could indicate that. He tends to be a little bit, you know, knights to me do the right things for the right reasons. In my opinion, they're loyal, they're of service to others. So I feel like your head and your heart are in a right place, kind of. But again, the knight also, because of his like level of service or whatever, he's not gonna, again, get messy this month. He could be a little bit declaring his attraction to, say, or his desire for a person or a situation, right? This doesn't necessarily have to only be physical in nature, but he could certainly be ready to pounce or move towards that. But he's going to have fun while doing it, is my feeling, especially on that fox's back, because foxes can be a little sly, right? And that's that slyness of her hiding her eyes behind that hat. I feel there's this little like we're in on the joke, but maybe nobody else is, or it's just our joke kind of thing. Does that make sense? And it's not harmful in any way. It feels very enjoyable to me, this energy. It feels kind of, I wouldn't say childlike, but it does feel like a little bit giddy and fun, okay? I do like the energy of the Knight of Wands as your center. It feels like there's a bit of a can-do attitude, a bit of a willingness to take on maybe new opportunities or new endeavors. You might get out there and do things for others, but again, you're not, the knight can sometimes lack a little bit of staying power, but that to me says that there is that sort of aloofness, or that, you know, I may help you here, but I'm not necessarily going to take on your shit for you, right? It's that kind of a vibe. So I think that it's a good place to be. And I think that it's a dynamic place to be with this Knight of Wands. Fire consumes air. You guys are air. Air feeds fire. So there's this beautiful symbiotic sort of thing happening here with this Knight of Wands being in your center. So use it to your advantage. I do feel like with the yellows and oranges and gold tones of this card, you are going to feel energized throughout the month. You're going to have, you might have, like I said, bursts of energy or bursts of, attraction, be it romantic, sexual, physical, whatever. It could be coming on with this Knight of Wands. So just enjoy the summer season. It is, we're in Cancer right now, but it will shift mid-July into Leo season, which is a complementary sign to you. And Leo season can, that energy can tend to be very generous and lavish and indulgent and all of that. So that might be some of this Knight of Wands energy too, but just utilize it and enjoy it. Have fun with it. Now, the next card is the Foundation. This card tells me a bit about sort of what was going on in the past that opened the door for everything to be the way that it is today. Like everything is built on this card, right? We look at this card to not only be aware of like sort of the past and where we've come from, but also to kind of think about it from in the terms of that this card could potentially be affecting our now. Sometimes it's what pushes us into the future, the memory of this card, or sometimes it's just the memory of this card is what's holding everything kind of in place. And we need to become aware of that. So this is the Three of Swords. This is your air element, right? And it is about heartache. It is about the past. It is about sadness. It is about suffering, right? Three of Swords to me, it's kind of one of the more unpleasant visuals in the deck when you see those three swords through the heart. But what I do love about this is there's always that heart still like larger than life in the center. And so to me, what this says is that there is past heartache, storms that we've weathered, fights that we've been through. Maybe even for some of you, it could be bad breakups, things like that, or bad, situational things where our egos or our hearts were hurt emotionally or mentally, our thoughts were in a rather dark place, right? I feel like we've risen out of this though, especially with the 33 of weaving flowers. And it's interesting, we have a 3 here, so we have a 333 going on there. I kind of like that. And then we're in this new exuberance of this Knight of Wands. To me, the Wands aspect feels like, that fire element is that new day or that new dawn, that new chapter, that being reignited. We've maybe felt like we've been in the dark, in a slump, depressed even, thinking a lot about the past, feeling like, what's the word I'm looking for here? Feeling, maybe trying to make sense of others and their actions for a while in our past, right? And what has ended up happening, I think, in the way that I'm looking at these cards, is that we're no longer being dragged down by that. Does that make sense? Like in the sense that the Three of Swords to me feels like we might have been kind of confused by others or caught up in our emotions around situations or others and their behavior, but we're no longer there anymore. We've kind of somehow we have moved on, is my feeling. That's sort of that aloofness and that mastery of that 33 that we see in weaving flowers. That's also the exuberance that I see in the Knight of Wands. Knights are always kind of trotting forward or moving forward. I do feel like it's time to move forward. My one worry about this Three of Swords is that it is in the Foundation. So I would say, if anything, because you guys are an air sign and I can be quite mental individuals, and I mean that in a good way. I mean like thinkers, right? Not mental like crazy. But you guys can bring these thoughts or these worries, resentments, however this manifests in your life. These things could potentially come back, or they're not completely out of the picture yet. So keep that in mind, Aquarius, only because this is sort of in the Foundation. So it's these thoughts can, and this is why I look at this positioning in the reading, is because these thoughts can sometimes be in our subconscious or in the back of our mind driving our behaviors. So I don't get bad feelings from these two cards, but I also want to make sure that you're not so aloof or so detached out of maybe, say, a bitterness or a pain or a sadness that you're setting yourself up for like a state of isolation or you're setting yourself up to maybe make some decisions that could be impulsive and potentially hurt another in an effort to make yourself feel better. Does that make sense? Because that could be the impulsivity of the Knight of Wands. Like, I'm just going to use this as an example, and excuse my language, but I'm going to be frank here. Like, some of the vibe that I'm getting here is don't be so aloof or caught up in the pain of your past and pretending that you're maybe fully okay or fully beyond it, that you say this Knight of Wands energy is you pouncing on, you know, somebody and sport fucking them to make yourself feel better and maybe to get back at somebody for their past indiscretions with you. Because in the end, I feel like that could backfire. Okay. And I'm just saying that because I don't know why it's coming across in these cards. So just be mindful of that. I don't feel that like every Aquarius will do that, but some of you might. And so because this Three of Swords is in this position, it does have the potential to be sort of driving the experience. So we want to make sure that we're doing things from a place that is kind, loving, and warm, and sort of free of these swords that are through this heart. Does that make sense? And I think that the majority of you have turned a new leaf or opened a new chapter, but we want to make sure that we don't allow the old chapter to come in at points throughout July and influence us in any way. Okay, so I'm just going to throw that out there as a slight warning. It's not for all of you, but it might be for some of you, or just something to keep mind about. Because there is a way of, like, and I'm just going to say this, there is a way to sort of turn the page or change the chapter and do it in a kind of healthy, fun way. And I feel like that's sort of the goal here for my Aquarians. That's what you're looking at and what you want. But just don't slip into any sort of, I don't know, cynicism or pessimism, or, you know, I get a little bit of a rolling of the eyes feeling here. All right, so the next card is the Spirit or Soul card. And that doesn't have to be just with romance, right? That can be with any situation, right? If we're going into new relationships at work, or you know, new situations where we're placing ourselves into a new class, for that matter. Don't try not to let the sort of the shortcomings of the past affect us. Does that make sense? All right. So the next card is the Spirit or Soul card. This tells me what your higher self is working on, or what it's kind of focused on this month. So keeping this in mind, let's see what it is. So I love this. This is the Six of Pentacles. So this to me is a nice balance to the Three of Swords that we have in the foundation. Six of Pentacles is always about kind of charity, community, the scales being rebalanced, right? Maybe in our favor, or just kind of reconnecting ourselves in a healthy sort of way. So Pentacles to me is grounded. It's earth energy. It's a very calm, centered energy. The sixes always are about balance. And then the Six of Pentacles is, to me personally, it's about kind of coming into harmony with those around us through doing like maybe good acts, or them doing good acts for us, right? Whichever role we're playing, whether we're the giver or the receiver, it's an opportunity to kind of fulfill our position in that cycle, right? So I like this in the spirit space because it feels to me like the spirit is kind of reminding us, not only to sort of ground and kind of look at our material situation, our relationships and where they stand, but B, to sort of also be in gratitude and appreciation of the relationships that are in good standing and that we can give to and that do give to us, right? And so we are part of a bigger picture, or a network of people that we love and care about. And so that's some of these strings here. And so I think that this also presents like an idea of a healthy way to be involved with people, where we're not feeling like we're being maybe taken advantage of or giving too much. And we don't feel as though, we also feel like we're receiving back, okay? So if we've got some relationships in the past where we have not felt that, and that might be significant in some of this Three of Swords energy, if we've even felt like, doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship. Like, let's say it's a friendship or a work relationship that just feels not equitable. Like, you know, what you've given to it has not been given back in kind, or vice versa. What you've taken has been not received back, kind of thing, if that makes sense. I'm sort of stumbling, it's early. If that's what's going on, I feel like the Six of Pentacles is a reminder to kind of make sure that whatever relationships you are walking into this month, or whatever, you know, situations in your day-to-day material world that you are cultivating. Oh no, the cats are fighting. 1 second. Damn it. I hate this cat. Get out of here, orange cat. Go get him. He's over by the fence. Go get him. Get him out of here. It's okay, Svenny. Sorry, guys. 1 second. I hate this orange cat. Why do you come here? Why with my dog? My cat. Get out of here now. Come on, let's go. Get in the house, everybody. Come on, please. You need to go play to the left. Oh, gosh. Sorry, guys. This orange cat comes in the backyard and starts fighting with my cats when they're out there in the morning. It drives me nuts. And he does it all night. Like, he did it twice last night at like 1:30 in the morning. Not last night, the night before. All right, so I kind of lost sight where I was. The Six of Pentacles would be maintaining or keeping a focus on balance and that sort of equality in our relationships, and cultivating that, right? And the power of that, the opportunity that has. Again, I do feel like that also kind of lends to the detachment that we see in the weaving flowers, where we're doing our part, we're enjoying our relationships, but again, we're not getting like totally sucked in. We're not getting maybe, I don't know if bamboozled is the right word, but it's the word I want to use. If we're getting bamboozled like we maybe have in the past. And that's what I mean by that Six of Pentacles being a nice contrast to the sort of mental, emotional struggle that is in the Three of Swords that we maybe experienced in the past. We're a little bit wiser, let's say, this month in July. So let's look at the outside influences. These are things that could be influencing you either positively or negatively during the month of July. They can be people or events. They can be things more vague, like belief systems or energies that are having an effect on you during this month. So one is the Page of Swords. He would be a younger gentleman of the air sign variety. Court cards generally represent people outside of ourselves. The Page of Swords is a little bit of the, you know, kind of the private eye of the deck. He's always trying to acquire more information. He might be bringing you more information this month. He could be somebody that's a little bit youthful or not as educated or as well sort of off as you. He could be somebody that's very much in complement to you, though, in the sense that the Knight of Wands and the Page of Swords would be a very nice connection, right? Knights tend to educate pages in the way that I look at the deck. And so there could be somebody that we maybe take under our wing. They will be bringing us some new awareness, some new knowledge. This could be a relationship that we have in place. This could be another air sign for us, right? Where we're talking about another Aquarius or a Libra or a Gemini potentially. And it could be male or female. It's to me, the pages kind of are unisex. If it's a situation outside of ourselves where it's, let's say, not a person, it would be somebody that brings us like new awareness, new thought, a new way of maybe looking at things through their potential naivete or their different way of looking at stuff. They ideally should be, how do I want to say this? Like, I think we'll communicate well with them, or within this situation, it will communicate well to us, right? Or we'll be able to sort of understand the situation for what it is as we learn about it, and as we move through it. And it should be beneficial, is my feeling, just because this is a swords card, right? It could be an opportunity to grow and learn, not only with a person or a situation, but it's going to be something that you should feel somewhat in alignment with, because this is a swords card. So it's kind of up your alley in a way, no pun intended. If this is more of a romantic thing, because we have the Knight of Wands and the Knave of Swords, right? I would say that for some of you, if this is a romantic thing, which I don't know if it is, but if it is, This would be somebody that you might find yourself taking the lead in the relationship, making the advancements. The knight would certainly move on the knave or the page. And it might be somebody that you might not see as necessarily your equal, but you find them interesting and enough of a project that you're willing to go there. Does that make sense? I don't know. That might only be for one specific one of you out there, but be mindful of that. That could be that sort of connection. Now, the next card is, oh, interesting, Justice, which is associated with the sign of Libra, another air sign. And I like that. Justice is like all's right in the world, or things swing back into I don't want to say your favor necessarily, but things go back the way they should be, is ultimately the feeling of this, right? Justice is major arcana. And in the normal traditional Six of Pentacles card, there's a man standing there handing out money to two beggars, and he's holding a scale. And it's all about the balancing of the scales. And it's interesting that we have this Six of Pentacles in our spirit space, and yet justice is showing up in the outside influences. To me, when justice shows up, this to me feels, especially because it is major arcana, this feels sort of situational or energetic, right? In the sense that we should be looking for scenarios where things swing back either in our favor or the truth is now told, right? Where justice is served. For some people, this could be an actual court case coming to an end and things working out, the truth being told, right? That's generally what justice can represent at a very what's the word I'm looking for? At a very obvious state, right? But if this is relationship wise, because I think it could be for some of my Aquarians, if there's been something that has been plaguing you from the past that you're kind of wanting to be free of, that you're sort of wanting to have, it's almost to me like as I look at this justice card, it feels like once this justice is sort of served throughout the month of July, some of these swords that are in that heart from the past might be removed. Does that make sense? I hope you guys are with me, because I'm feeling like it feels to me like, as you know, like, let's look at this from a relationship perspective. If we have friends that we've been wronged by in the past and we maybe not speaking to them or whatever, there could be, through this justice card, some opportunity where that person could come to us and maybe potentially apologize. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that we are getting back into a deep friendship with this person, but this justice card brings us sort of the opportunity to understand and accept potentially their apology, so that one of these swords can be removed from our heart, our minds, that sort of a thing, right? So I would say be on the lookout for opportunities to repair or to restore our perception of things through this justice card. This could be not only just relationship wise, this could be, things within our life where maybe we've not been seen, validated, heard, trusted, understood. Justice will fix that, right? Justice will come in and she will sort of bring the truth to light. So we want to allow that to take place. And I think that some of that aloofness that I was talking about in this weaving flowers, and the sort of the equality and the balance and all of that we see in the Six of Pentacles, even though we might be resting on a bit of a broken heart or the pains of the past, I really do feel like when I look at these cards that Aquarius's desires or your want for something better for not only yourself, but maybe also for your relationships, whichever ones they may be or where this may surround them, is truly from a pure place. And so that will be honored by this justice card. Does that make sense? It's not like we're trying to let me let the dog back in one moment. Julian, come in. Come on. Come on. Come on, why don't you come in, Sonny? Because I don't want you out here fighting with that orange cat. Come on, bud. I hate that orange cat. I wish he would stay over very hard. I don't know why he has to come over here, everybody, and like rile you guys up. All right, so I hope that makes sense. It really does look like we're in a place now where we maybe are not so emotionally charged about things that have gone on, that we really can be maybe potentially free of some of these situations. And that would be that 33 mastery number that we see in that Weaving Flowers card. So Aquarius, be ready to sort of almost rise above certain situations and understand, you know, you might even with that Justice card, you might even understand a little bit about why or what went wrong in the past and be able to come to terms with it. Not saying that you're at fault or that they're at fault or that you're going to be okay with whatever was done, because the Three of Swords can be a quite painful experience. But I do feel like you might actually be able to transform some of that energy or those experiences. I hope that makes sense. So this next card, excuse me, I just swallowed a little bit down the wrong pipe. This next card is the potential outcomes for the month. This tells me a bit about sort of where things might end up for my Aquarians, barring that nothing major changes. This card we can take as a warning if it's a negative card and affect the outcome through choices and our free will, and choose something different if we don't like this card. But if this card is a good card and we like it, we can naturally take heart in the fact that we're naturally heading towards it. So let's see what this card is. Interesting. So this is the Judgment card. And I like this because this is Scorpio energy, but it is also major arcana. So it says to me that we'll be ending the month in a very big way. Judgment can be about sort of the way that I see it. An easy way to sum it up is it's sort of answering the call of spirit. It's also the end of very close to the end of the Fool's journey. So when I look at that and I think about how we might be wrapping up around some of these things of the past that we've carried with us that have caused us pain and sadness, that we might truly actually have mastery over them, that we might actually really be ready to be free of them, that justice might really reign supreme, and our understanding of situations, people, their behaviors, whatever, will no longer sort of have that sway over us. And we end up getting, and it's funny that we have justice and judgment, right? Both kind of like justice is sort of being served and the judgment is sort of being, you know, prevailing over everything. Judgment always has sort of a spiritual connection, and being associated with the sign of Scorpio, Scorpio rules sex, death, and transformation, right? And I was talking about, you know, Aquarians being horny this month, which could be some of that sex energy, but death energy is pretty, you know, intense stuff. And then transformation is intense stuff. So expect that we are changing something that maybe has hung around with us in the past for quite some time and had a bigger effect on us. I think we're actually getting free this month, Aquarius. I think we're actually being able to find maybe some humor around situations where we've not been able to in the past. And in doing so, we end up sort of freeing ourselves and finding that balance and that reconnection to our world, healing our heart, and really truly being able to move on and move on in a very profound, positive, and big way. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. Sorry about the cats getting out of control. This video's gone a little bit long, but that is your Aquarian reading for this month. I hope you enjoy it. Please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. I look forward to seeing you guys next month. Share this video with your friends and in any groups where you think it might best be used. And I look forward to seeing you guys. Have a wonderful July. Take care, Aquarius. Bye-bye.